It is your good friend Justin here yet again. I didn't want to make a video on P Diddy for a couple reasons, which I'll get into. But I feel compelled to because it's the really big talk right now. More and more information and strange things keep getting leaked from this whole thing. And I guess the reason why I didn't want to talk about it at first, I know this has been going on for a while now, um, is because I felt like it was just distraction. I felt like there was really nothing to this. I mean, there's really two scenarios here. Either one is, this is just a humiliation ritual of some sort. Listen, if you know anything about the powers that be in this world and how they operate, then you understand this. If you don't, I mean, this channel is all about truth, what really takes place. I understand how the dark occult really works, not the perspective I see from the surface level of things. So this is either some sort of big humiliation ritual for Diddy, and the powers that be are just exposing themselves even further. That's how sigil magic works, things like that, black magic, sorcery, all that good stuff that the dark occult practices. And if you don't know who they are, I mean, it's the people you see on TV all the time, your politicians, your celebrities like these people. It's your international bankers, really the ones who are controlling everything in the United States, people in the CIA, people in the WHO, people in the CDC, people in the World Economic Forum, Club of Rome, United Nations. I mean, all that good stuff. So, anyway, they might just be exposing what they do and seeing the reactions of the people. I mean, a lot of people are awake to this stuff, and it's crazy because they do really disgusting, wild things behind the scenes that the public is not really aware of. But I would really say within 2018, people really started to wake up and understand the sex trafficking, the child trafficking, the stuff with celebrities and what they do to become famous, selling your soul, all that stuff. I would say 2016, 2018, people became really awake, or started to. That's when I started to become awake. 2017 in particular was when I started to understand these things and discover them for the first time. Because I always felt like since I was a little kid, that something was wrong in this world. I just didn't know what it was exactly. So this might just be some big humiliation ritual for P. Diddy, right? And the powers that be just further exposing themselves. I mean, mainly on X. If you don't have X, follow me. I'll drop the link below. But you just really see crazy, wild audio recordings of men being put in compromising positions. You know what I mean? And sex sound, sex noises, it's dirty talk with men. It's crazy, man. It really is. It's wicked. So the second thing that I see going on here is, besides P. Diddy maybe just exposing himself here, is maybe he just didn't comply with something. Maybe one of his bosses, because we know Diddy is very high ranking in the music industry or whatever. I mean, you see him with politicians, all these different celebrities. You see him, which I'll show you later here. I mean, you'll see him with just everyone, ranging from politicians to professional athletes, to, of course, musicians, movie actors. It's crazy how you'll see, like, once you're famous, you can hang out with whoever because they're all interconnected. They influence the masses, in particular, the younger generations. They shape and mold the future generations, in particular. So, excuse me. I mean, Diddy may have not complied with someone in the industry, one of his bosses, and now all his stuff is leaked. Which brings me to my next point: is that when you get into this business, when you start to become famous, when you start to have clout, when you start to have millions of followers, millions of views, things like that, you start to become an influence over society, and you then become controlled. Usually how it works is maybe you're born into one of these, maybe you're a bloodline of one of these occults, maybe they chose you for whatever reason, and they basically said, like, listen, like, we'll make you famous, you can be famous, but you gotta push a narrative we say, and if you don't, then we're just gonna blackmail you. We're gonna make sure you never get famous. We're gonna make sure that these tapes we took of you, if they already engaged in these activities, are going to go out to the public, and your name is going to be slandered. That's what they do. So that's why none of these people come out. That's why it's so hard for these people to come out, because they know they're going to face serious backlash over their name, and they have tapes as evidence against them. So because if these people who are in Hollywood and all this stuff, who own the sex trafficking rings, Epstein Island, all this stuff, I want you to understand that these people are all connected with each other. And I'm sorry to say that Donald Trump is a part of this. He is not. I know a lot of people think Trump is the savior of America and all that stuff, but he's not. He is one of these people. He's part of the deception. There is no politician that's going to save you. The United States government has been fully infiltrated for a long, long time now. They're pushing the New World Order agenda. Whether it's the Democrats or the Republicans, they're pushing the same narrative, which is getting us closer and closer. I mean, it's here, basically. They're just waiting for the right time now, which is the New World Order. So that's why I didn't even want to, talk about some of this stuff with P Diddy, because I felt like it was distraction. I felt like there was really nothing to. I feel like it was just all right, look over here with this P Diddy stuff, which a lot of people are aware of, but no one really does anything about it, right? People still love these celebrities. People still worship them. Even someone like LeBron James, right? Who's just a basketball player, but you got to understand his influence. I understand he's just playing ball, but look at his influence. I mean, I haven't been on this guy's Instagram or anything, but I would assume that LeBron James probably has over 20 million followers on Instagram or something like that. Because he's a big influence. Everyone in the world knows who LeBron James is. Every guy, at least. Every guy knows who LeBron James is. He's a celebrity. He's famous. Multi-millionaire. You got to do things to get ahead, even if it's in professional athlete. They even if you're not that good at ball, but you sell your soul, they can make you famous one way or another. And that's a whole different topic with how basketball is rigged, NFL, NBA, whatever it is, MLB, all of it, UFC. Because again, the masses don't see things past the surface level. They don't see the spiritual significance to stuff, because there's a big spiritual element to this. People might be like, well, why do they do this stuff? Why? It's because there's a spiritual element to this. They believe in Satanism. Satan is their god, ultimately. They believe they are above the masses. They believe they are above all of us. They believe they are gods among us. That's ultimately what it is. I mean, you could see that P Diddy just hangs out with everyone. Everyone knows who he is. I mean, you've heard this guy's name for the past, 25 years now? Everyone talks about this guy because he's their master. He's really high up and high ranking in the occult. Therefore, he could put someone like Mike Tyson or LeBron James or one of these tough guys that we think is tough, and he could fuck them. He could have sex with them. And excuse my language, but he could have sex with them. And these guys will do it because, one, they want money. You do this, you do X, Y, Z, you'll get $20 million in your bank account a year, something like that. You don't do this, we're going to release tapes of you. Or you're just not going to be famous, and we're going to make sure you never get famous. It's blackmail. It's bribery. It's obviously all illegal, but who's going to stop them? They have all the money. Pay off police, right? So in the music industry, all that stuff, if you don't comply or push what they say, you're not going to get famous. Or even worse, if you're already famous and then you try to expose them, they're just going to slander your name. They're going to make sure you don't get famous. And all these people are coming out against Diddy. Maybe they are trying to really get him in trouble. Maybe they are. There's always that possibility. Or it's just part of an agenda, and it's distraction. I can't tell you I know for sure. I'm not one of these truthers that is always like, oh, well, it's this way, it's that way. But I'm telling you I understand how the occult works. And it's one or the other. Either this is a complete distraction from something big to come. And I think I've been speaking about this in my videos. I've been tweeting about it a lot recently. I think something is going to happen to Donald Trump. And you'll even see P Diddy here later in this, in these pictures here, whatever that I'm showing, that he's with Trump on multiple occasions. But I believe something is going to happen to Donald Joseph Trump to where this man gets assassinated or something. It's going to be fake, meaning he's not really going to die. He's probably going to get sent away to one of these islands, like Epstein Island or whatever, and just live off grid. It's not that hard for these people to do what they do, because you got to understand the masses are really stupid. The masses are really ignorant. The masses don't believe any sort of truth because they think it's conspiracy. The masses a long time ago have accepted lies as the truth and think the truth is a lie. So no matter what I say or what people say, even though conspiracy theorists so-called have been right and been getting everything right as time goes on, it's like people don't see it still. Because people are really ignorant and dumbed down, and men in particular have lost a lot of testosterone. There is no fight left in people. People just know how to listen. People don't know how to lead. People don't know how to see things for what they are. People just know how to sit down, shut up, and listen to whatever it is the media says, the government says, politicians say. People have been trained in the school system and all that stuff to be a certain way, and I get it. And it takes an awful lot to break out of that, that matrix, as right Andrew Tate would say, oh, that matrix or whatever. I get what he means, and I'm not an Andrew Tate fan, but I get what he means when he says the matrix. You basically it's slave chains mentally, and you got to break out of it so you can see things for what they are. Once you do, you'll be able to understand the truth and where things are going. But anyway, here he is, Donald J. Trump, right? If something doesn't happen to Trump, because like I said earlier, I believe something is going to happen to Donald Joseph Trump. That's why this whole thing with Diddy, it possibly could be going on to just get you to look the other way. Obviously, it's true, all this stuff with Diddy and all the people coming out saying he did X, Y, and Z to them. It's true. Because that's how you get famous. That's how you get ahead. That's how you get big. That's how you get millions of followers. That's how you get millions of views. You have to sell out. You have to do what they say. You got to sleep with men. Because these people are all either just full-on gay or bisexual. And they do a good job at making you think there's some players who get all these women in their mansions and all that. Nah, man, it's gay parties. It's homosexual orgies. Nothing wrong with being gay, man. But just be straight up about it, Don't front like you're getting all these women. But anyway, my point is that Donald Joseph Trump, something is probably going to happen to this man. I believe before the election, maybe shortly after the election, if he wins. I don't think he's going to win. I believe he's probably going to get assassinated before. It's going to be fake, like I said. It's not going to be legit. The masses will buy into it. And there's going to be some sort of civil war chaos that breaks out amongst all these illegal immigrants coming into not only the U.S., but all these Western European countries who usually are white countries, mind you. But there is an agenda right now, not only with the illegals to cause forced diversity, forced culture, and all this stuff, forced diversity basically is what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of stuff going on right now, and it's a lot to explain. I don't want to make such long videos, but sometimes I have to just go on tangents for people who decide to listen to this to understand the bigger picture here. They are trying to collapse the world simultaneously. The country that's most difficult for them to collapse is the United States. In particular, because the Americans are armed. Americans have guns. Americans would probably be the country to fight back. But at this point, I don't even know. Because I don't know what it's going to take for people to understand there is a war going on. There's a silent war on the American citizens. It's been going on for a long time. But it's like no matter what kind of proof you show, no matter what kind of situation the United States goes in, whether it's this crazy inflation, everyone's being priced out. No, we all know these politicians never do what they say they're going to do. But people just cannot help but put their hope in politicians. This is why things just continue to get worse because people put their hope in a candidate that's, well, he's the lesser of the two evils or whatever they say. And I understand why they say that. But you gotta, Trump is an elite. He's part of it. It's like saying, oh, well, I like Jay-Z more than P Diddy because, Jay-Z, whatever, he doesn't have these allegations against him. But you got to understand that Jay-Z and P Diddy are into the same shit and part of the same occult, just like Trump is part of the same occult as Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. That's all I'm trying to get you to say. I'm trying to get you to understand, excuse me. So that's my point with why this might be a potential distraction. Because if something happens to Trump, or if there's some sort of chaotic event that happens here in the United States, whether it be a cyber attack, some sort of quote-unquote terrorist attack, maybe another quote-unquote pandemic lockdown, climate lockdown, war. We don't know. Oh, my goodness. Excuse my voice, but we don't know what is going to happen with the powers that be. There's so many avenues they can take against the people right now because they have us where they wanted. They were ballsy enough to pull 9/11. They were ballsy enough to pull, the Boston Marathon bombing. They were ballsy enough to pull off all these school shootings, and they were ballsy enough to pull off COVID, which is the biggest event worldwide that affected everyone, the whole world, and the world is still feeling that effect. And don't think that another lockdown isn't inevitable, because it is. They're going to try to do it one way or another. Might not be a pandemic lockdown, but they're going to try to get people to lock up again. And that's just all. These things will only happen if people listen and comply to the narrative that they give. I always talk about how we can change this stuff. I know my stuff sounds negative and doom and gloom, but my point with all these things always is that we could change this. But people don't want to come together because the biggest thing people can't put aside is politics. And the biggest thing too is it's either that, or people say that they just don't care because it doesn't affect them, quote unquote. They just want to make their money, quote unquote, right? And I understand it. But here's the thing, bro. It's like you getting bullied at school, right? And you just ignoring it or whatever because you just want to focus on your studies and all that, but it's affecting you. You can act like it's not affecting you, but it is, because you feel it mainly in your wallet. All of us do. So that's all I'm saying. If you want a better future for yourself, for future generations, for your kids, all that stuff, you got to ask yourself, is complying and all this stuff really going to get me where I want, and just digging my head in the sand, especially, and ignoring it, gonna get me to where I want to be, or is gonna get the future of humanity where it needs to be? Because if you keep getting bullied by these people, they're just gonna keep doing it until you fight back. Once you fight back, they'll F off. And the problem is that we, the people, need to come together and fight them off. And the powers that be did an A+ job at dividing us to a point where none of us talk to each other. None of us can get along. I mean, especially with the smartphones and technology, all that stuff. We are just completely divided now. And I think the powers that be are going to get their way. That's what I believe. That's just what I see. Hate to sound negative, but again, I'm trying to tell you we could change it. And I know there's people waking up and understanding these things because it's very obvious at this point. But it's not just understanding it. You gotta, one, make changes in your life to get you better prepared for the inevitable, which is these people closing in on all of us and causing some sort of panic attack like they did with COVID. Yourself, and we gotta warn other people. We have to educate other people. We have to try to bring people together, try to find people of like mind, and try to see what we can do to ride this thing out together, because that's the only thing we can do at this point. So that's my little solution there, very briefly. I can make a video separate on that, but the last thing I wanted to talk about was the tunnels, allegedly, that led to like a Playboy mansion nearby. Excuse me. But there's some articles about tunnels, and then fact checkers, of course, the same people who basically are in the same occult as P Diddy, Trump, and own the banks media are also the ones who own the fact checking websites and all that. So don't get it twisted there. But They're claiming it's false that there's these tunnels. Well, of course there's these tunnels. All these people got tunnels and basements and, even in your local Mason Lodge, I'm sure there's tunnels that lead to certain places and all this stuff. You'd be surprised what these people do underground. That's where they could dwell. That's where they can dwell in secrecy and do their naughty little stuff and have their little bunkers and hide from God, and all that stuff. And hide when civilization collapses and all that stuff. So there's all these things, and I'm not saying everything is true, but especially on Twitter, on X, you see a lot of information because there's not censorship. And the thing is, I believe a lot of what I see on X, not just because I'm gullible or because I want to believe it, but because I understand how these people work. Now, I know there's a ton of misinformation, misleading stuff on X, and a lot of people that are fake on there. Of course, I'm aware of these things, but you got to understand, when it comes to these sex tapes that are being released, these weird things about tunnels leading to, like, some sort of underground pool or whatever it might be. When you own all the money, when you're worth $50 million, man, what are you going to use your money for? You're just going to sit back, relax, enjoy life? Like, no, you might do that for a bit, but you're going to get bored, bro. You're going to want more. You're going to want some sort of power or control. You're going to want some sort of influence. You're going to want to do something besides just sit around and enjoy your money. You want to spend that money and enjoy that power you have and build these tunnels, right? These underground secret places, and have all these sex parties, right? And have like a 50-foot bed. Isn't that what he had? He got caught with like a 50-foot bed in his mansion. That's what the media said. So, listen, man. There's a lot of truth to this, to what's being put out. And that's the tricky thing about truth right now, so-called, is that they're giving you truth now. It's like with these people and these mainstream conspiracy theorists like Alex Jones or Joe Rogan, or these people on X or whoever, is they're giving you some truth. Even Trump, like, he gives you some truth, some real raw truth. But then they say something along the lines, or they say something after that that's misleading. They'll tell you some truth and then mix it with a lie or two so that it's still misleading. And if it's a half truth, it's still a lie. Maybe they're not doing it on purpose. I believe they are. I believe Alex Jones, Joe Rogan, because of the influence, especially that Joe Rogan has, they are fully pushing an agenda. They are allowed to have a platform and say certain things, but if they cross a line, and they're allowed to have certain people on, but if they cross a line, then they're going to get dealt with. And for all we know, Joe Rogan could have very well been part of these Diddy parties. I mean, we don't know exactly who and who wasn't there. But I'm sure every single celebrity, politician, any sort of famous person in the world has gone to one of these. Because these people, overall, if you were to combine the world's population with who's really a part of these occults and who isn't, we're talking about 1% of the world is a part of this. And 99% of is just your regular, everyday, average citizen like me and you, trying to survive. Well, these people print money out of nothing, right? Own all the wealth, put me and you in debt for it, make us work 50 hours a week just to barely survive. I mean, you know the game. I don't got to explain it to you guys. So, anyway, I think I said enough for this video here. I hope I said something to help you understand. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email or something. I'll leave that below. Please follow me on social media. Like and subscribe, please. And let me know what you guys think. And this is your best friend, Justin. And I hope you guys